weather degrees in one night.
That happens everywhere, though. It's not just Cleveland.
I don't know. It seems like just Cleveland.
No, it happens. It happens here too.
No, it don't. It's always warm in
Oh no,
Dallas.
no, 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 ma'am. No,
Okay, I'll
ma'am.
give y'all the one time when y'all had all the lights go out during
No,
wintertime.
no, 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 ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I have actually been outside when the winds of change changed. And
Change.
yeah, it actually, oh my gosh, I did that thing and it looked like I had somebody had knocked my teeth out. Um, it went from 75 degrees to about 55 degrees in a matter of like 3 minutes.
What?
Yes, I am not lying to you.
I guess.
Anyway, Cleveland! Woo! What's happening?
Nothing. How about that? So the Guardian. We'll start off with the Guardians. So the Guardians were able to split series with the Twins, which was huge.
Yes.
Why are
Yeah,
you looking that way?
because somebody is knocking on the studio. My
Oh,
son Blaze, come on in the studio and say what's up to the people.
I thought you was trying to hate on
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's
the
up?
Guardians.
There,
Hey, how you
that's,
doing?
that's Blaze. And
Hi, Blaze.
I think he needs me for something. So can I need to cut out for just a second, okay?
Yeah.
Hold on for a
He
second.
said let you borrow. You know what he said. Let him borrow me for just a second. I'll be right back. I promise.
Okay.
And I'm
All
gonna answer
right.
that question.
Okay.
All right.
So this past weekend, the Guardians was able to get a split against league leading Minnesota. So that's a good thing because you want them to be able to slowly chip away. And I believe that they did jump the Detroit Tigers with the split this weekend. So now you have the Cleveland Guardians in second place in the AL Central. I never bought into Detroit anywhere. They're just, never really been a good team. So you can get off to a hot start and cool down later. But this team was able to, get that split. And that's a good thing because the Minnesota Twins, one thing is the Minnesota Twins hit for power. So the most excellent thing was Tristan McKenzie was back this weekend. So Dr. Sticks was back. He struck out 10, and I believe he got the win. So that's some very encouraging news. Last I heard about him, so I wasn't expecting him to start against Minnesota until I was listening on the radio. But Delvis didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it. On the Mad Crew didn't talk about it. But I think that they changed that at the last minute. So we didn't know about that. And I was listening to the game, and that's when I heard Tristan was starting. And I'm like, oh wow, this is very good. Because I thought that he was supposed to do a rehab assignment back at the spring training facility because Tristan has been in town. So I'm like, when is he going to do this rehab assignment? Because we're always seeing him with the team. So I have to clarify if he did this rehab assignment or not. But he is sharp, and he came back and he was looking good. He was also able to be given a little cushion by Josh Naylor, who was able to hit a home run. They finally got to that pitcher who they struggled against, and he was pitching lights out as well. So it was a 1 run game. That's something that the Cleveland Guardians are known for, only winning, and that's the thing. They didn't go into overtime this past series, but these 1 run games, I mean, they are lucky to win them, but that cannot be a winning strategy going down the line. If you really want to contend and make the playoffs and advance in the playoffs, you got to put up more runs. You have to put it, in a position in which teams can't come back because you have outscored them and they can't reach that. But one of the things that's happening is you have blown saves taking place. You have the bullpen blowing their relief assignments. So you got a couple negative things happening right now. The bats are kind of going. Josh Naylor has kind of emerged and met Rosario. I know a lot of people really don't like him, but I like him a lot. I think he's a good second baseman. He's a good shortstop. He's also able to hit for power on occasion, not a ton. but it seems like he can be one of the most reliable hitters that this team has. Jose Ramirez is going to do his thing. You just need the end of that lineup to go ahead and be able to put that ball into play, because this team, one of the things that we realize about this team is they're never just going to come out and hit home runs. They're just not built like that. So they're going to continue to do their small ball thing and kind of go from there. And at the end of the day, if you're going to play small ball, it's just going to be like Survivor: outwit, outlast, outduel. So this team has to be prepared that, hey, we're going to have to dig in deep and try to hold leads. And that goes to the bullpen. And that goes to your hitters, get that ball there. So even if it's a 1-run game, Angel De La Jesus said, even if it's a one run game, we still won, which is important, which is a very valid point, and I understand that. But I think fans want to see this team win by more. First of all, it's more exciting. Nobody really likes pitchers duels unless it is a baseball purist. So especially when you have those scores of 1-0, 2-1, things of that nature, that means that there's a pitchers duel that took place, and Tristan McKenzie was able to best the Minnesota Twins. So I'm super excited that he's coming back. A great thing about him is he's going to be having his Jersey Day on this Saturday. They are having Dollar Dog Night. They are also having the giveaway of his jersey, and they're also having fireworks. So that's an exciting time to be down at the ballpark this Saturday. The weather should be nice. They are facing the Houston Astros. So the Houston Astros are coming into town, and there'll be a lot of boos, especially when Jose Altuve comes to the plate to come hit some balls and stuff like that. Michael Brantley should be back, but I don't know how Cleveland feels about him leaving. One thing that happened was when he left, obviously we couldn't afford him, and that's one of the things that it wasn't we couldn't afford him. It was that the Dolans don't want to pay him. So that's the thing as well. These are the things that are coming to pass with Shane Bieber as well. I don't know if people remember when the Dolans were like, when they talked about Francisco Lindor, and they were like, enjoy him while he's here.
I'm back.
But sorry, Willie. Did you see me looking around?
Hello, boys! I'm back!
But wait, did you see me looking around to see where the sound was coming from?
I just wanted to play that.
Did you see me like, did somebody say something?
Yeah, it was me. Oh my gosh.
Because I was just on the roll, but I'm like, is Chris talking to me? Is Rockville or Eric talking to me or something like that? Because I'm hearing a whisper, and I'm like, what's going on? And I was turning around to see where the sound was coming from, and I forgot you was gone. So welcome back, Willie. But I was just talking about Tristan McKenzie is going to have his Jersey night on Saturday. So Tristan McKenzie is back. He struck out 10. So he came back to full form. So I was talking about, I wasn't sure. I know that he had to do that rehab assignment and the extra spring training, and then go down to Columbus. But that all happened kind of fast. So I'm like, when did this happen? Because it seems like he's always with the team. So I guess that was something that had transpired before he came back. So I don't know if he's still going to go out and do another rehab assignment or anything like that, because I was hearing some mentions of that. But I think he's pretty solid, coming back from that injury that's plagued him before the season started. So no surgery was needed. He just needed to heal up. So that's great. So the team has another solid starter back. Aaron Savali came back as well. Unfortunately, he lost his outing to the Twins as well. But Tristan McKenzie came out and was, lights out and did what he needed to do. So that's something super exciting where you can add another pitcher to this rotation, because the rotation is kind of shaky because of the injuries that we have. Zach Plesac, I doubt, is coming back. He's down in AAA, and I think he was put on waivers and nobody has claimed him. So
very unfortunate.
Yeah,
Very
I
unfortunate.
mean, it couldn't have happened to a better person. So I think that his career might be over unless he decides to go overseas or something like that, like Trevor Bauer. It looks like we have a couple comments. Hey, Ricky. Ricky said Josh Naylor went off in on my Nationals here in DC a couple weeks ago. Yeah, Josh Naylor is starting to hit his stride. And Ricky says there is a long known proverb in my native Pittsburgh that if you don't like the weather, just wait another 10 minutes.
Mm, mm, mhm.
I like that. I like that. And then George says Mackenzie pitched well. And but wild thing, Karen Checks got yesterday's win. Thank you, George. So
Wait
yeah.
a minute, Ricky. Wait. He's from Pittsburgh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess so.
How can you be a Nationals fan if you're from Pittsburgh? Well, I would assume, and you can let us know in the comments, Ricky, that you have moved to the DC area. Maybe. Yes. Let us know. So Tristan and McKenzie is on pace now for about 403 strikeouts for the year based on his performance yesterday. I was so happy to see him back. It looks like he's gained a little weight, actually. I
Like
mean,
a pound.
he really couldn't stand to lose. He couldn't stand to lose anymore, but
I could
he,
tell then he had the short pants, which I really hate when players wear those. I like the long pants better. But he
mhm.
had on the short pants, so he was looking extra skinny.
Yeah, and look, I want to, I just want to, I want that young man to do so well, because he has had to overcome a lot, and Natalie Turk speaks so glowingly about that young man, and he's one of the, if I may say, he's one of the great black hopes on the mound, for real.
Hmm.
And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way whatsoever. Only thing I am saying is that there is such a shortage of African American starters in the major leagues that it's nice to see one, and you want him to succeed, and you want him to succeed because he's a great person.
Yeah, there's only a few melanated mound marauders in all of Major League Baseball. So
Hmm.
um, you definitely want to see him succeed. And he is just the nicest kid, Willie. He's
Yeah.
the nicest kid. So that's another good thing. Very humble, and stuff like that. So, people like that, you want to see them succeed, especially when they're a nice person, other athletes and stuff. And most athletes are genuinely nice people. There's only a few that people haven't really liked. I mean, the ones that I've came across have been nice to people. They've been nice to me. Barry
How, how
Bonds,
how nice was Michael Jordan?
I have to tell you about that off air.
I already know. That's why I asked the question.
We can't talk about that on there.
Okay.
And then but Barry Bonds, it was somebody, I can't remember whose kid it was. Oh, Joe Buck. So it was Joe Buck's kid. And I guess, Barry Bonds was doing whatever Barry Bonds was doing. And so I don't know if it was Joe Buck or I forgot who it was, but they brought what's his kid's name?
Who's the kid?
Is
Joe
it Joe
Buck?
Buck? Yeah.
I don't
What's his
know. I
daddy's
don't
name?
know.
Joe
Jack.
Buck that usually do the World Series.
Jack Buck is
Jack
the
Buck,
dad.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Jack
So they
Buck.
was like, they brought Joe Buck over, and this was Jack Buck was his father. So they bring somebody, I don't think it was Jack. So somebody brings Joe Buck over to Barry Bonds, and they like, hey, this is Jack Buck's kid. And Barry Bonds was like, so?
Mm. Well, he was like that with the media. That's one of the main reasons, other than the obvious, why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Well,
Yeah.
he is in the Hall of Fame now, but
And
the other
and
Hall
that
of
is that's messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Fame.
Just because you weren't nice to the media, and obviously, these systems in which how you get into the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, especially the baseball one, is kind of messed up and needs to be redone. And people shouldn't hold personal grudges and stuff like that. They said that Albert Bell, who probably was my favorite player of all time, was very mercurial and didn't really like talking to the media. He left the Indians at that time on very bad terms and stuff like that. But yeah, and I'm sure there was some in the media that Barry Bonds was nice to as well. I'm like, I can't imagine these guys, being mean to everybody, because the media are your allies as well, and lots of times they can shape your image. And we look at who's in the media, especially in baseball, and they don't look like us.
James Harden was mean to me.
Really?
Yep.
What happened?
I'll tell you about it on the other side of the break.
Okay. All right. Willie is right. We're going to go ahead and take a break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we'll be right back.
WOVU 95.9 FM. We gather to honor a living legend and man who has left an incredible mark on the world of sports and beyond. Join us as we pay tribute to the one and only Jim Brown. Jim Brown, a name synonymous with greatness, excellence, and unwavering determination. He burst onto the scene in the 1950s, showcasing unparalleled talent as a football player for the Cleveland Browns. With his incredible speed, strength, and agility, he revolutionized the game and forever etched his name into the sports history. Jim Brown was more than just a football player. He was a force to be reckoned with, both on and off the field. His raw power and his explosion running style changed the game forever. But it was his unwavering commitment to social activism that truly set him apart. Jim Brown used his platform to champion civil rights and fight for equality. He never shied away from speaking against injustice and lending his voice to those who needed it most. He became a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations to come. Throughout his career, Jim Brown shattered records and earned numerous accolades. He was a 9-time Pro Bowl, a 3-time league MVP, and an 8-time rushing champion. His physical prowess was unmatched, and his impact on the game continues to reverberate throughout time. Jim Brown was not just a remarkable athlete, he was a true trailblazer. He paved the way for future generations of African-American athletes, showing them that their dreams were within reach. His achievements on the field were a testament to his incredible talent, but his talents off the field were a testament to his character. Jim Brown used his success to uplift others, founding the Mere I Can program to help young people realize their full potential. He has worked to empower individuals and communities, demonstrating that sports can be a catalyst for positive change. Today, we stand in awe of the remarkable life and legacy of Jim Brown. His contributions to football, civil rights, and philanthropy have left an incredible impact on our society. Let us remember him as an icon, a hero, and a true champion of human spirit. Join us in celebrating the life of Jim Brown, a man whose passion, resilience, and unwavering dedication will forever inspire us all. Thank you for listening to WOVU 95.9 FM as we salute the great Jim Brown. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Remember to always keep it locked on your regular radio dial all day long, every day, 24/7. And then also you can listen to us online at WOVU.org. You can also down that WOVU app so you can listen to us on the go if you're out of your car. And then you can always contact the station with any comments, questions, or concerns at 216-271-0959. So I am back with Willie Epting Jr. And we're just finishing up our baseball talk. Then we're going to talk a little Jim Brown after that and his legacy. Because I don't think we didn't do the show last week because of the holiday. So yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about Jim Brown that much. So we're going to definitely do that. And just to finish up on the guard, you were going to say James Harden was mean to you. What happened with James Harden?
Yeah, there's a reason why that dude can't get past to the championship round. There's a reason why he will never win an NBA championship until he apologizes to me. Because after
that's all it'll take, Willie, huh?
He needs to apologize to me, because when he was in Houston playing for the Rockets, and they had a game here in Dallas against the Mavs. After the game, I'm in the Houston Rockets locker room, and I'm talking to James Harden, and I'm complimentary of him of his game. And you know what he did? I need you to look directly into the camera at me. This is what he did to me. And for all y'all out there that's watching too, this is what he did. I asked him a question. He looks, he turns, looks me up and down. So this is the first time you've seen my game? Nah, man, I'm being complimentary of your game. And that was it. Yeah, that so-and-so.
Yeah, you have some that are not so nice. The majority are nice, but I remember this was last season. No, this was a season before last because the Cavs were terrible. And he was with the Rockets still. So was what is his name? Russell Westbrook. And they almost lost.
Russell Westbrook was with the Rockets, wasn't he?
Yep. And they I normally don't go into the away team locker room. Sometimes I do if they have a superstar. So I decided to go in the locker room that night. But, before they opened up the locker room, there was people standing out there, other journalists. And they were like, when they came in, all they heard was a bunch of arguing and a bunch of cursing because they couldn't believe that they almost lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then when you went in the locker room to talk to them, they were both very short. Russell Westbrook and James Harden were both very short with their comments. Pretty much didn't want to talk to us because they were so mad. Even though they won, they were still mad. I guess they couldn't believe that they had played like that, and they were kind of rude or whatever. That's it. And they wanted to go. So, yeah, and then Russell is a little funny acting anyway with the media, so that comes to be expected. No surprise at all. So, but yeah, for the most part, I would say the majority of these athletes are nice when you get them one-on-one instead of being in that media scrum. I think that maybe they're nicer to me because I look like them as opposed to all the other media people that create and shape their image and can make them look bad.
I look like James Harden. What's the point? I look like James Harden.
Well, I can't really excuse that, but I'm a woman, so it's a little different.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I don't have those things. I can tell you
this smile and this personality and this demeanor. Absolutely.
I have the smile and the personality. It's the demeanor that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of demeanor. But anyway, so who would be the nicest person you've ever talked to after a game, before a game, whatever?
Shaq.
Really?
Oh my God, he is the nicest guy like ever. If you see, videos of him greeting people, like I just saw a video today where he was in Miami and, obviously doing the playoffs. And this kid, walks up to him and, he comes like with his hand outstretched or whatever. And, Shaq opens up his arms and, takes the little boy in for a hug. And I think he high-fived him too. So the boy looked at his hands and was like he looked like this. You could tell he's like, I'm never going to wash my hand ever again. And he's a boy, so he's probably not ever going to.
That's true.
But, he looked like, his hand just dropped out of outer space. And then, when he went to walk away, he did, dap up Shaq or whatever. Oh, he shook his hand. He shook his hand because the boy was looking to dap Shaq. And then Shaq, shook his hand. But it was just really sweet to see the interaction. And he's just the best with people. All the stuff that he does outside of broadcasting. Like there was this one boy who maybe wore like a size 23 shoe and couldn't find shoes wherever. And, Shaq hooked him up with his shoemaker and sent him some pairs for free. So, Shaq is just always doing some, charitable things for people. And, I believe he changes people's lives. And Shaq is just the nicest guy you could ever meet in your life.
Yo, I got a quick Shaq story, and then I'm gonna tell you the nicest person I've ever talked to so far. I met Shaq when he was a freshman at LSU.
Okay.
And it was at the McDonald's on campus of in Baton Rouge of LSU. And this dude was so big, so long. I mean, he was sitting in the booth and he had like 3 Big Macs and 2 fries and a big old drink. And my sister was like, "Yo, that's Shaq." I said, "Yeah, I know." You want to meet him? I said, "Yeah." I mean, so she introduced me to Shaq, and Shaq like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" You know, and,
You
and
can understand him, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like that. But yeah, man, that dude is he's just a big old baby. That's all it is.
Mhm.
And then the nicest person I've talked to so far, I think, is Dirk Nowitzki.
Okay.
Yeah, Dirk Nowitzki was pretty cool. I remember asking him a question, and not to get political, but this is the question that I asked him, and this was I want to say in 2016 or so, and I said, Dirk, you know what, man, you're a worldly international type of guy. I said, what are other countries around the world saying about the United States right now? And you know what he told me? He
What?
said, you don't want to know.
Hmm.
You don't want to know. And then somebody else from one of the local channels out here said, "Oh, but Dirk, we do want to know. What are they saying?" He said, "I'm not gonna say. If you want to know, you need to talk to some of your European friends." And I was like, "Wow." And but he wasn't being mean. He was
Hmm.
just, you know, telling it
Very
like it is.
factual.
Mm-hmm.
Very factual. Ricky says he has lived most of his life between Pittsburgh and the DC area. I'm now in the DMV. He said Jack Buck was dad, Joe was his son, and
Mm-hmm.
Bonds was not nice to many. And we're going to get to Jim Brown. And, he said rest in peace to Jim Brown, who he met briefly. Excuse me, when he was a Browns ambassador, the nicest celebrity I ever met was also the most famous. Late, great. Arnold Palmer,
Mm-hmm.
which I enjoy Arnold Palmers, by the way. They're delicious. Have you ever had one before?
I don't know.
And you live in the South?
I live in Texas.
That's the South.
Texas is considered the Southwest.
Still the South.
No, I don't think I've ever had one. I may have tasted one before, but no, I don't. No.
It's just lemonade and
Tea?
lemonade and
Tea, right?
lemonade and tea, iced tea.
Yeah. Well, I have had that combination before. I'm not a real big tea person unless it's hot.
Oh my God. You like iced tea?
No.
Yeah. And then
I'm a,
they,
I I'll have to tell you what it reminds me of off air. what, what tea reminds me of drinking it. Iced
okay. Like, okay. Um, but we're gonna go ahead and take this second break and then we're gonna come back and talk about Jim Brown. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Tina Turner was born November 26, 1939, in Brownsville, Tennessee. Her parents separated in early 1950s. Turner went to stay with her great grandmother in Nutbush, Tennessee. At 16, she moved out to St. Louis, Missouri, where she eventually began her degree. Before embarking on a solo career, Tina Turner recorded hit songs such as Fall in Love. 2021, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo performer. Not only a rock star, but she was an author and actress. She independently published a children's book entitled Angel Fishy Swim is Free in 2019, along with her self-help book entitled Happiness Becomes You, a guide to change your life for good in 2020. Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, was known for legs, lips, hair, matched with a powerful sultry voice and energetic dancing, all while wearing high heels, blowing away minds at every performance. Tina Turner is an icon. We thank you, Tina Turner, for your contribution to rock and roll, the strength to change your own circumstances, and the resilience to never quit. She was a true rock and roll artist to the bone. And in her words before her passing, this is what I want in heaven. Words to become notes and conversations to be siblings. You're simply the best. WOVU 95.9 FM, our voices united. Salute Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Tina Turner. We thank you.
Simply the best. That was Chris.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here with Willie Epting Jr. And we were just discussing some of our favorite athletes and who was nice, who was not nice. Ricky says, rest in peace to Jim Brown. Okay, we talked about that. He said lemonade and iced tea together. So,
Arnold
Ricky
Palmer.
filled you in on what Arnold Palmer was. So let's go ahead and talk about Jim Brown. Also, one of the nicest celebrities that I've met too. When I met Jim Brown, I would talk to him about lacrosse because I knew that was a way that I could connect with him very differently. You know, everybody wants to talk football, but nobody talk to him about, at least, in the media scrums I've been in when I've had the opportunity to meet him. Nobody talked to him about playing lacrosse, and he was one of the best collegiate lacrosse players of all time before, that football notoriety hit in. So he set a lot of records at Syracuse and was one of the best, players at Syracuse. And Syracuse has a long lacrosse tradition, but, he was a great athlete in his own right. He played more than one sport too. So he pretty much could have played any sport that he wanted to, just a natural athlete. So, really nice guy. And, I really got to meet him in his later years, but, I actually did remember because I met him in like 2010. And then I met him 6 years later again, after Cleveland won their title. And I asked him if he remembered me. He said he did, because like I said, not a lot of people talk lacrosse with him. So, but how much did Jim Brown mean to you in football?
Well, I mean, a lot of people say that he is the greatest player ever, not just running back, but player, period. Of course, he was before our time, so we never got a chance to watch him in his prime. We've seen the YouTube videos and we've seen the ESPN highlights and all of the other stuff. We know about the accolades. We know about the 9 Pro Bowls. We know about the 8 times he led the league in rushing. We know about all that. But what really sticks out to me the most about Uncle Jim is all of his service in the community and civil rights activism. And it's a shame because I've said this before on other shows. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that still wish to this day that Jackie Robinson would have never broken the color barrier. I believe that wholeheartedly. So when you have Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali and Cassius Clay and all the rest that met in Cleveland for that summit when when Muhammad Ali refused to go to the war in Vietnam, saying, "Hey, you know what? This ain't my war. Those people haven't done anything to me." I think it was that really took him as who he was to another level. And another thing too, I remember, Rachel, is when we had his daughter on the show.
Yes,
And
Kim Brown.
she spoke so glowingly of her dad, and not the football player, but her or him as a father. Not him as an actor, but him as a father. Not him as an activist, but him the father. And then when you talk about his his acting, my favorite role that he played in was He Got Game. Because he was, to me, he was supposed to be this hard-nosed, CEO or whatever, but he wasn't that, because I just remember his mustache being so thick and how he would talk, and it would kind of curl up when he talked. And he told Denzel, I can't say it on the air, man. I wish I could say it on the air, but with that one line he had in He Got Game, that could be some Jake. You ain't out there messing with the little boys, are you?
I haven't remember. I saw it, but I don't really remember no great lines or anything like that. I did want to call Ray Allen Jesus Shuttlesworth, but I didn't when he was in town. Playing with Boston. But go ahead. Yeah, he probably left football to go act because there was more money in acting than it was because it's like $39,000 a year.
Yeah, and a lot of people, just like when Barry Bonds retired early, just like when Patrick Willis retired early, people were saying, "Why are you retiring so soon?" But that dude had a vision of his life after football, and people weren't even thinking about that. They were just thinking about him being entertaining as an athlete on the football field. And I bet you that if there was a lacrosse professional league, he probably would have played both sports professionally.
And dominated. Because you wasn't pulling him down. And obviously with lacrosse, there's no tackling or anything like that, but they do wear shoulder pads, and, they will hit you with their stick and other stuff like that. There's a lot of ground ball action. And then when their initial draw, they're actually on the grounds, kind of, like football players trying to one up each other. It's kind of hard to describe, but 2 people on the ground trying to get this ball, initially they are like football players trying to get a fumble. That's one of the best ways I can explain it. So, but yeah, I totally believe that. And Ricky says that word is Jim Brown was one of the best collegiate lacrosse players ever. I was too young to watch his football games live, but the highlights are amazing. I love that he spearheaded the Cleveland Summit. And he says his support for Trump was trash, though. Shaking my head.
Well, and that's something that his daughter, she talked about that when she was on with us. I mean, her being a staunch conservative, and I mean, she loved Trump. And my thing to that is, to each his own. I hate politics. I'm more interested in civil and equal rights. So
Which should not be political at all, but
right,
people make
it. But since it is, and people have made it that way, I don't care for. Look, I'm gonna tell you, like a mentor once told me, I don't care who's in office, whether it's the Democrats in office or whether it's the Republicans in office. You better check your own office. Boom. So, I understand what you're saying, Ricky. But And I don't want to go any further than that. I tell you what, why don't you come on to the Shakeback Media Group, one of my shows, and we can talk civil rights, and we can talk equal rights and all those things that go along with that. And we can get real raw, for real, for real. Hit me up. Shakeback Media Group on Twitter.
Real, raw, and uncut.
That's right.
Yeah, so condolence to his family, and it's been a couple of weeks now. I guess it was a private ceremony as well. So now it is, how do the Cleveland Browns honor him, and what in what way you think the Browns should honor Jim Brown?
Change the name of the stadium.
I think so too.
You know,
But it's like they make so much money in naming rights. But I think the right thing to do is label that stadium. You know, now they've been talking about a new stadium, a dome stadium, all that other stuff. So I think that if you're going to have a new stadium, but I think with the old stadium, even if you kept Cleveland Municipal Stadium but said Jim Brown Field,
that
you
part.
know,
That
something
part.
like that,
Yes.
you know, that would be good. But, you know, you got to do something to honor him, you know, long term. And I
Yeah.
think the stadium naming is best. So I definitely do. Also, too, he had over 50 acting credits to his career, too. I don't know if I mentioned that. So, you know, he definitely was in a lot of movies, and, you know, that certainly paid him well. Then, you know, he was an activist with the I Can, thing that he did. And also, you know, talking with gang members, you know, trying to reclaim the streets and stuff like that. But, you know, he also does have a complicated legacy as well. So that's something that we gotta, be honest about too. So that legacy is a little complicated. But I definitely think that the team should do something to honor him in a way, and that's, you know, something permanent to him, not
Yeah.
just, oh, you know, we're talking Jim Brown, you know, he was great as ever, and then nothing comes of that.
What about the city of Cleveland? Because he played all his years in one place, and
Mm-hmm.
he's primarily responsible for Cleveland's last football championship.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't heard much talk about that. Everything I've heard is about the Cleveland Browns and what are the Cleveland Browns going to do if they do decide to do something. So I haven't really heard about that per se. I think the city should do something too. I know that we have a statue and stuff like that, but I forgot what area he lived in when he was here, because I think, you know, the local high school that whatever area he was, even though he didn't grow up here, you know, Jim Brown Field. You know, you can name some footballs Jim Brown Field, and I think that would, you know, suffice as well too. But I haven't heard much about what the city plans to do. So when I hear that, I'll look into that. I'll get back to you on that.
So let me ask you a question before we go to the next break. But because like here in Dallas, right, some of the inner city schools don't have a football stadium, so they gather at like independent school stadium, like some there's some DISD stadiums, like for, I want to say, for at least, I know 5 schools off the top of my head. Is there anything like that in Cleveland where a bunch of high schools play at the same stadium?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Yeah, one other thing too I remember about Jim Brown is when he was like 47, 48 years old, and he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with a Raider uniform on, and they were saying, is Jim Brown going to make a comeback at 47?
Oh my God.
He could have done it. If anybody could have done it, it would have been him.
Man, no. 47. No. I need him to sit down, relax, and enjoy the rest of his life out at 47. You talking about all types of knee injuries. You know, I can barely get out my bed after doing nothing all day. I couldn't imagine being in the doggone football game trying to get up and move the next day.
That's crazy.
Absolutely not. And not for the Raiders. If anything, he should have came back to the Browns. Who cares about the Raiders?
The Raiders had just come off of a championship. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but, you know, he was Cleveland all day.
I get that.
Cleveland all day. All right, we're going to go ahead and take this last break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
My name is Tila, and I'll be around the Central neighborhood.
Ronville, you thought I was talking about the
I am on better brother. You
may also know me as the Crazy Lock Lady. I'm looking forward to finding out what's important to you.
I'm Nikita Worley, and I look forward to re-engaging with everyone from Central Community.
For the next 2 months, you can find us at community events and gathering spaces around Central in collaboration with our radio partner, WOBU 95.9 FM.
And we want to know what's important to you.
We want to understand what issues are important to Central residents so we can report on issues you care about.
Signal Cleveland is a community-centered newsroom, and our name is a nod to Garrett Morgan, the noted Cleveland inventor and businessman.
Among his many successful inventions was the 3-position traffic signal, which influenced the traffic signal we use today. Morgan also started the newspaper that eventually became the Call and Post.
Now that's shown up history, and it's our history.
Magic again, Signal Cleveland is also a nod to Ohio's role in the Underground Railroad.
Cleveland, known as the station of hope on the railroad, was the last stop before Canada. On the freedom coats reportedly used to mark the way, the crossroads symbol meant Cleveland, and that's how folks knew they were on the right path.
Yes, indeed. Signal Cleveland is on the right path.
The path of getting to know
The crossroads symbol inspired our Cleveland Signal news logo.
Look for our Crossroads logo at a community event near you.
I'm Lakita. Tell us what's important to you.
I'm Arvetta.
I'm Tila. I'm Lila Parker.
And I'm Magic. Tell us what's important to you at 216-220-9398. That's 216-220-9398.
We are Signal Cleveland.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and it is me and Willie Epting Jr. Willie, what are you laughing about?
I don't know.
Okay. That I'll allow that. So talked a little bit Jim Brown. Now we gotta talk some NBA playoffs, man.
Playoffs?
Championship, excuse me. But it's still technically the playoffs, right?
I mean, until it's over with. Yeah.
Until we have crowned the champion.
Check me out right here.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Well, a lot of people probably said that about the Miami Heat. You know, you better hope, like going into the playoffs, you know, as a number 8 seed going against, you know, the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that a lot of people thought they had that same inclination about, you know, that exact same thing, talking about playoffs. You know, we hope we win a game. And not only did they win a game, they swept the number 1 seed in all of the East. Then they get in there and do their thing. Huh?
They didn't sweep them. They didn't sweep them.
I mean, sorry, gentlemen sweep. Excuse me.
Yeah, they won it in 5. But hey, it's the Bucks. The Miami Heat got the Bucks coach fired. I'm fired.
Hope we could win a game, and you know, but like nobody saw that coming. Nobody was thinking that a team with Giannis, Chris Middleton, and all the other, you know, support players that they have would fall down to Miami Heat. You know, the Heat came out of nowhere. The number 8 seed, you're not expecting them to do anything. Then they get in there.
The Heat have been a bad matchup for the Bucks over the last couple years. You remember they beat the Bucks in the bubble on their way to getting blown out by the Lakers.
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them getting blown out, but I forgot about them beating the Milwaukee Bucks because, you know, Cleveland didn't make it to the bubble. So I kind of forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of drew a blank.
Yep.
Because it's only important what Cleveland does.
If you say so.
And if they're not there, who's paying attention? I am paying attention to this final, so I am paying attention. I had a status on Facebook that didn't age well. 3 hours later. And And I had a prediction that was right. Going into both conference finals. And I'm like, the Heat and Denver are going to face each other. This was after I think this was after both their second games, and I just knew that this is how it was going to be. I knew that Denver is just too much of a good team, and Miami, they were able to give Boston fits. Once they went up almost 3 games to 1, 3 games to nothing, and then Boston had to come back. A lot of people probably thought, Boston is at game 7 at home. They're going to be able to pull this one out, and they got the brakes beat off of them.
Everybody thought that.
Yeah, I did too. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the Boston Celtics, so I wasn't rooting for Boston. I don't really like the Heat either because that's where LeBron went after he left us. So that's why I don't like the Heat. I don't have any particular reason other than that to not like them. But yeah, so now that so
it really wasn't about the Heat; it was about LeBron. Because if he'd have gone anywhere, you'd have had the same feeling.
Exactly, and that's what I was about to say. It really doesn't matter, and you're absolutely right because I'm just like where he went. So if he went to the Dallas Mavericks, I would hate the Dallas Mavericks. Mm-hmm. So even though he ain't on the team no more, it just is.
Respect.
So. But yeah, nobody saw that coming. And, I do like Jimmy Butler, though. I do like Jimmy Butler a lot. So, I was rooting for his individual success as well. And just, Jaylen Brown, stinking up the room, Jason Tatum, not really doing much. You never thought that the Heat were going to be able to go in there in game 7 in Boston and blow them out. And it also looked like Boston gave up a little bit too. You think that is so?
That's what they were saying in after or at the end of game 3. But let me ask you a question about. Well, let me say this about the Heat and the Nuggets. Because I remember you saying that the Nuggets are the most boring team in the NBA. I actually disagree with that. They are a very fun team to watch. It's just that their best player looks like he's washing clothes when he's out there.
No, Jokic like I said, Kelly Olynyk. He's the guy at the gym. That's the last person that get picked for a team. He show up looking like a bum in a scrub, and he get picked last for the team, and he up there balling out. And you didn't even know he was an NBA player.
And that dude remind me of that type of guy. And that dude had 41 points last night, but. I believe that the Denver Nuggets are a very, very exciting team to watch because they can do it in all areas of the sport or of the game. They can do it up tempo. They can do it. In the half court. They play great defense. They can shoot from the outside. They can rebound. I mean, they're athletic. They're deep. They are the best team in the NBA, and we know that usually in a series, the best team wins. Unless that team is Miami, because they ain't even the best team in none of their series.
None. And they just power through. And maybe that's some of the mentality of why they're, kicking butt like this, because people told them that they couldn't do it. And a number 8 seed, I don't think there's ever been a number 8 seed to ever win the NBA Finals. But, hey, Miami can do it. And then, there was never a team that came back from 3-0, I don't think. And Boston was looking to make history as that, and they didn't. So, this is
0-155, Rachel.
Yeah. So
that's a winning percentage of 0.
But, Miami went in there and blew out, Denver yesterday. And they were saying when Jokic scores more points like that, 41 points like that, the Denver Nuggets have a tendency to lose. So you want to keep him around that 20, 25, a little bit less than 30 range in order for that team to be successful.
I don't think it's really that, though. What I think it really is the fact that he kills you when he's playmaking. So if you're holding the Joker to, 5 assists or less, then that means that he's not passing the ball out to open jump shooters or people slashing to the cup. That means he's taking on those shots himself. And when that happens, the floor doesn't open up the way that we are normally used to seeing from this particular Nuggets team. So when he has, 28 points and 12 rebounds and 12 assists, those are the games that they're going to win almost 100% of the time. But when he has 41 and Jamal Murray has, 25, I think, or whatever it was, but then everybody else is like 2 for 11 or 5 for 17, that's where the Nuggets get in trouble. And you got to give credit to Eric Spoelstra, because that is an adjustment that he made. And it's such an underrated strategy by letting the best player on the floor get as many points as he can and shut down everybody else. And I think that's what they did, and I think that's what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what the Lakers should have done.
Mm-hmm. That's a very effective strategy. That's what the Knicks did to Donovan Mitchell. So if you can do it and execute it right, it's going to work every time. You eliminate that player and make everybody else beat you.
Exactly.
And usually they ain't ready to do that.
Exactly.
Them lights shine very bright. I was about to say, we only got 3 minutes left, and I was about to ask you about something, but I forgot what I was going to ask you about.
I did not inhale.
Was it basketball, football, or baseball? I feel like it was something about basketball. So you don't think that they can pull this off?
Who? The Heat?
Miami Heat.
I think they can. I think they absolutely can. Now, can and will, not only do they have a different set of numbers of letters in those words, but they mean two totally different things. So I absolutely believe that they can. I think a lot of this is gonna hinge on game 4, not necessarily game 3, but game 4. If the Heat go into game 4 and are up 2-1 and they win game 4, oh yeah, it's over.
Okay. That sounds like an effective strategy. Ricky says, because we run out of time, Ricky says, what an amazing run that he has had. He doesn't like the Heat either. He hopes the Nuggets handle their business. And Willie, he said, you are right, though. So, all right, that's our time. We had a great show today. Thank you, Willie, for being here. Thank you for listening as well and supporting WOVU. This is Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we are out of here.
Peace.
All right, Willie, thank you.
Hey,
today.
You busy tomorrow?
Oh, Ricky says he does have Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that. You busy tomorrow? 7:00 your time?
Oh, sorry. I'm like, good show today. Ricky said he does have Twitter, so hopefully he hit you up.
Yeah. You busy tomorrow at 7 your time?
Yes. Actually, I'm getting sworn in as a treasurer of NABJ at City Hall.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang, Her in the Huddle has become Her in the Hall.
Yeah. So, and that's something I told you. Think about too joining NABJ there in Dallas. So
yeah, you did, and then the pandemic happened, and it just kind of went on the back burner. So, all right, girl, I'll holler you later.
Okay, bye.
All right, peace.